Hello watch friends, Libby from the Whole Cut here. If you are a regular YouTube viewer, you will no doubt have seen this watch all over various watch review channels in the last year or so. I have seen so many gushing reviews that when I recently saw this watch on AliExpress for a bargain price, I had to check it out for myself. I am of course talking about the Addiesdive AD2030 with the sandy coloured dial. I paid just £34.49 with a coupon for this watch, which is mind-bogglingly cheap. There are some telltale signs that it is a cheap watch. The case brushing isn't the most refined. The milled clasp is a little bit rough around the edges. But those little details aside, what about the rest of the watch? Let's take a closer look. The styling of this watch is obviously very Rolex-esque, with a 36mm oyster style stainless steel case and a solid link stainless steel bracelet. The case is 12mm thick with a lug-to-lug measurement of 46mm. The bracelet tapers down from 19mm at the lugs, and it's a little bit jangly, which is not a surprise at this price point. The watch is really well proportioned though, and wears wonderfully on my small 6-inch wrist. I'm sure it will look amazing on any wrist up to say about 7 inches. If your wrist is larger than that, you'll probably need to have a preference for smaller looking watches to enjoy this one. There's a signed crown, a solid screw down case back engraved with the specifications and the Addiesdive logo, and a mineral crystal. Nothing spectacular, but perfectly nice. The water resistance rating is a respectable 100 meters. The movement is an unusual choice. It's a Seiko VH31 mecha quartz movement. It ticks 4 times per second, so you don't quite get a smooth sweep like you might with a real mechanical movement, but it's a lot more pleasing to the eye than a standard quartz movement. Now we come to the watch's party piece, the dial. It has a lovely sandy texture, something you might expect to see on a Grand Seiko, not a $50 watch like this. The dials are identical on all of the watches, which is to be expected in this price range. You're not going to get a handmade dial after all. The polished applied indices look really smart too. There's a printed black minute track, and who doesn't love dolphin hands, which always take the level of elegance up just a notch. There's no lume whatsoever, so if that's an important consideration for you, it's worth bearing in mind. I don't really care about lume at all, so it isn't a deal breaker for me. The only thing that really lets the dial down is the branding. Addiesdive, Deep Sea Hunter. I know the designers are unlikely to be native English speakers, but it's still some of the worst branding I've ever seen on a watch. At least it's relatively small and not too obnoxious. It bothers me less than I thought it would, to be honest. If you're not a fan of the sand coloured dial, it's also available with a light blue sea-like dial and a white snow-like dial. So what's my verdict? Well, of course, it's not perfect by any means. Compromises have been made, but as an overall package, it is very hard to beat for the money. I'm a huge fan of Casio, but this is a cut above even Casio's offerings in this price range, and blows away brands like Timex and Seiko. I think it would still be a good deal for twice or even 3 times the money. Is it the best looking watch you can buy for less than $50? Well, that is subjective, but in terms of specifications and build quality, it probably is one of the best value watches on the market right now. It is undeniably a great value proposition, but I'm trying not to get too hung up on value anymore. It's how you end up with a drawer full of underwhelming and unremarkable watches. I've been very guilty of beating the value drum in the past, but I feel like value, and especially specifications, are overemphasised by many watch enthusiasts over the thing that truly matters, which is how a watch makes you feel. I couldn't help but have a big grin on my face when I put this watch on my wrist for the first time, and that's what this hobby is all about. Before I go, I have a confession to make. I bought this watch to make a video. I thought I would review it and flip it, but actually it's really growing on me, which is bad because I already have way too many watches. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. That's all I've got time for today. Thank you for watching, and see you again next time.